Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. So it's that time of week again. It's our usual Friday night live. So let's give you a rundown of what's been happening and some of the plans for this weekend, and give you a catch up on basically everything that's happening, and we can go through some of the questions you might have as well, and we'll go. Yeah. So let's see who comes in to say hello and join us. Um, so it's been a bit of a hectic week as always, but this time it's just trying to catch up on work because of the nature of the work that I do. Everything always gets busy, sort of December, January time, and yeah, because of the tax deadlines and stuff. So at the moment, I'm still struggling to get out into the garden. I had a good session last weekend, got a lot done. We got a lot of the garden tidied up, got a lot of wood chip down on the ground, mulched, prepared the beds, prepared, pretty much cleared one greenhouse, and you can see that in my last video. So the glass greenhouse, we've pretty much turned that into a blank canvas, completely gone. Ground zero on it. Everything's been taken out. Everything's been ripped out. All the plant pots are all upended. I've even given that a dig, and I'll explain why I gave that a dig. I explained it in the video that I did last, but I'll explain it again if you want. And then that greenhouse is going to get, hopefully this weekend, maybe get a proper wash down, scrub everything down, clean everything up, and the glass, everything, because what we don't want is pests and stuff to overwinter, and greenhouses are one of the worst ones, worst places for pests to overwinter in. They can, if you don't do a good deep clean every few years, they can harbor disease, they can harbor pests. The perfect overwintering grounds for pests that are going to eat your plants next year. So I'm going to chuck some of my chickens in there as well, so they can dig around, rummage around, and see what eggs and whatnot are in the soil, and eat all of that sort of stuff. And then I'll do the same on the red greenhouse as well. So first person in the chat, Graham, how are you doing, mate? Thank you very much for coming in. I had to unsubscribe and subscribe to find me again. That's a shame. That's really a shame, because you're someone who's here every week. You're here every week in the live chat. You're there all the time on the videos as well. So that's really surprising. I think there's a lot going on with YouTube algorithms and stuff like that. And I think a lot has been going on over the last year or so that's really battered sort of the viewings, or on a lot of videos. We've struggled. I know some of the other channels that are a lot bigger than us, they've struggled. So yeah, let's see. There are a lot of glitches on stuff like that, but hopefully we'll get some more regular people coming in and saying hello. Hi, how are you doing? Thank you very much for coming in, joining us from Norway. Just as you say hello, Graham, he's disappeared. Hope you're keeping well. Hope everything's good with you. What's everyone's plans for this weekend then? Because this weekend is definitely going to be chilies for me. I've got my chilies seeds sorted. I started getting all my seeds and bringing all them into the house, and finding all the seeds from different places that I've got. Because I've never got them all, for some reason I've never got them all in one place. I've got them scattered around, so I've gathered them all up, and we're gonna get them organized, decide on what I need to order and whatnot, and start sowing chilies from this weekend. I need to get the heat mat out, but I came back, I'm not teaching this week, so I'm having a catch up on work, just every night in the office. I'm in the office till 7-8 o'clock every night, and I think it was about 7:30 yesterday, and the kids got fed up of me not being at home, so the whole family walked it to the office and sort of dragged me out and brought me home. Mike, how are you doing? Thank you very much for coming in. Karen, how are you doing? Hope all's well with you. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like for me as you coming into the chat, that'd be great. So we've got 11 people, 3 likes. So yeah, hit that like. It just helps with the algorithm and stuff like that. Alan joining us from Northern Ireland. Hope you're keeping well, mate. Thanks very much for coming in. So, what are all your plans for this weekend? Because, like I say, for me, it's going to be Chilli's this weekend. We're going to get the heat mats out. I'm going to get all our propagators out. Make sure all my plant pots are clean. So I've got loads of them that I've been emptying out, and I've just dumped them in a big plastic tub in the garden, gathering rainwater and getting washed up. So I'll give them a little rinse, and we'll start sowing a load of chili plants. I'm excited about that. When it comes to chilies, I get very excited. We might have a couple of new ones to try. So yeah. So Monica, thanks for that chat. Arrived safely. Can't wait to taste it. Happy New Year and good luck in the upcoming gardening season. Monica, thanks very much for letting me know. You're always in the comments. I appreciate that. So I'm glad they got there, and I'm looking forward to hearing how you found them, what you thought of them. Chris from West Yorkshire. Whereabouts in West Yorkshire? Because if you don't know, I'm in Leeds. So sowing onions, but can't find the Bedfordshire champion seeds here. Do you mean someone that'll deliver? Home for okay, so you're not far from us. You're not far from us at all. Sarfraz, walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I hope you're keeping well. Windy and chilly in London. See, it's not that bad up here. It's quite mild here at the moment. I'll pop over tomorrow with your chili seeds and bring my seed collection. You can take it. Oh, nice one. What time are you thinking of coming over? Because we're going out in the evening. Tomorrow I'm going to clean the cage for the guinea pig girls, and otherwise make dinner, crochet, watch the telly, and go to bed long before midnight. So that's an action-packed day. That. So yeah, I've got to clean the chicken house tomorrow. Can't remember. Yeah. So Saturday, Sunday is my chicken house cleaning day. And at the moment, what I'm doing with a lot of the mulch is because we're bedding them on wood shavings. So I'm taking a lot of that mulch, and on the beds, on some of the beds, I'm just spreading the mulch, the chicken manure bedding, all that sort of stuff. Just taking that and spreading it straight onto the garden beds, and I'm going to allow it to break down on there and act like a little compost heap. So while I'm on that, one of the comments on a video a few weeks ago was asking, they said they'd got confused about the fact that I put fresh kitchen scraps directly onto the garden beds or into my garden pots. Now, and the question was, would it attract rats, and would it attract mice, and would it attract slugs? So rats and mice, they're everywhere. They're in our ecosystem already. Now, if you can see rats and mice, if you can see them, then that means you've got an overpopulation of rats and mice. So any sort of food source will attract rats and will encourage rats and mice. So if you've got a compost pile, an open compost pile like the pallet bin types, they're gonna come into those, and they're gonna feed from those as well. So whether you've got it in a compost pile like that or on your bed, it makes no difference. Now the key is for that to have a balanced ecosystem. So I encourage lots of stray cats into my garden. There's some foxes that live in our garden, so or they sunbathe in our garden, at least, maybe not live, but there's predators arriving in our garden regularly, and because they're coming in regularly and they're doing their thing, they're keeping populations under control. And when it comes to slugs aren't a problem at all. But again, because you normally have 2 or 3 different types of slugs. You have those slugs that focus mainly on eating sort of dead and rotting matter. So like your leopard slugs and your detritus and your grey spotted slugs. And then you have the slugs that like eating living matter, or a combination of both, which are like your brown and red slugs that we normally are very common in the UK, and the green slugs. Now these guys, they'll eat pretty much anything they can get their hands on. But the leopard slugs, if you can encourage them, they'll eat your decaying matter and they'll eat other slugs. So that's one important part of it. But if your ecosystem's right and you've got birds coming in and eating slugs, you've got crows coming in. See, I get a lot of crows and a lot of blackbirds. The blackbirds sorted my snail problem out. So we encourage blackbirds into the garden with a lot of berries and stuff like that. So I've got loads of blackcurrant bushes that no one eats blackcurrants, but I leave them for the birds. So we get loads of blackbirds and crows coming into the garden. They eat the slugs, they eat the snails. I let the chickens free roam when it's not, obviously when it's not chicken lockdown, and they control a lot of that as well. So slugs generally aren't a problem when it comes to mulch, and that's one of the probably one of the most common comments that I used to get when I said I mulch a lot with a wood chip. Now, pretty much all the sort of will mulch a garden with, or will no dig with compost. Those kind of people, they'd always comment that I'm making a haven for slugs. Now, I might be making a haven for slugs, but I've never had a problem with slugs. Let's put it that way. But the whole thing is, it has to have that good balance of an ecosystem. Northern Ireland protocol issues. A lot of companies don't send seeds here, i.e. Kings, DT Brown, Premier Seeds. What about a personal what about a personal letter? Can you what's the issue with them? If someone just sent you a letter and there happened to be some seeds inside it, what would happen then? Would there be any Northern Ireland protocol issues there, Alan? What do you think? Because if that is the case, then send me your what do you call it, address, and I can send you a letter. So in that case, my email address is it's all over my YouTube channel. Just drop me an email with your address and I'm sure I can send you a letter. Yeah. When's best for you? I'll come in my work gear and chip. Yeah, come in the daytime. I'll be home all day. I'll be in the garden from pretty much 8-9 o'clock in the morning, clearing stuff up. So when harvesting seeds to save for the next year, does it matter if you get seeds from the biggest fruit, or would any fruit do? Okay. So depends. There's a lot in that question. So I'll explain my way of saving seeds. So if I'm saving seeds from like a squash or from a hodu or something like that, then what I'll do is I'll hand pollinate that plant, right? So I'll hand pollinate the plant or the flower, and then once I know that fruit's set, once I've hand pollinated it, I'll make sure that nothing else can pollinate it. So I'll wrap up the flower, or I'll wrap up the little fruit and the flower, stick it in a bag, or close the flower. Use a clothes peg to close the flower. Once I've done that, then I know that what's pollinated it is the pollen that I've selected, and then I'll use that to save my seed. Okay. Now, with certain plants like onions and things like that, because of the way they're pollinated, and because you can't really control, where the pollen comes from and how the seed sets, then for something like that, I'd select the biggest thing that you can find to get your seeds from. But with squash and where pollen from multiple plants that come into it, or multiple fruit that come into it. The problem with that is you're not gonna, if you want to try and keep them true to type, then you need to try and limit the exposure to other plants. But if you're going to try and grow for genetics, like for an onion or a leek or that kind of plant, then I'll just go for open pollination and just pick the biggest thing I can, and then grow it onwards. So that's the way I do that. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Icky, hope you all had a good break. Let's get ready for 2023. Put my chili plants in next week. See, I meant to do mine a couple of weeks ago, and I've just been talking about that, so I'll get mine in hopefully this weekend. My mum sends me seeds in post from abroad too. Not yet had any. There you go. That's what I'm talking about, Monica. That's what I like to hear. You're right, buddy. What was that? Cheeky monkey. So Shweta, how are you doing? Thank you very much for coming in. Hope you're keeping well. Di, do you have to pollinate plants with the same plant? I'm confused. So so if you're growing like a squash, for example, squash, so the flowers open in the morning for squash, and then they close in the evening. So what I'd do is, as soon as I see a fresh flower, a female flower, then I'd get a male flower and I'd hand pollinate that, and then I'd close the flower, so I know no other plant can get into there and pollinate it. So because what can happen is they can cross pollinate. A bumblebee will visit 100 different flowers and then pop it. Knows my name. Yeah, someone knows your name. So a bumblebee will pop into 100 different plants, and then they'll pollinate it. And then when you go to get the seeds, your seeds will be from Transformers. Yeah, a Transformers bumblebee, that's the one. And then the genetics will be mixed up. You'll still get squash, or you still get tomatoes, or you still get whatever you're going to get, but there might not be the exact true one, that you were hoping for. So that's the only thing that I'd go for. Do here. How easy is it to grow loofah sponge in the UK? Has anyone had any luck? I've grown loofahs, but I've never grown them for the loofah sponge. We always eat them before they get to that stage. So we've grown ridge gourds that get to sort of that sort of length, but we don't let them go all the way for a couple of reasons. One is because they're a staple in our diet and they're really expensive to buy from the grocery shop. And the other reason is that normally by the time our loofahs are setting or our snake gourds are setting, we just haven't got a long enough season left for them to dry. David, how are you doing, mate? Long time no see. Hope all's good with you. Thanks for coming in. My naga and lemon drop have all sprouted very quickly. I'm surprised. Fantastic. Did you try soaking them in tea? Laura, how are you doing? Thank you very much for coming in. Graham knows your name. Graham knows all of your names. Also, do you still use the same plant? I understand. Okay. Yeah. How does Graham know all of my names? Because he watches you guys and he knows us and he talks to us. So Monica, has anyone tried growing Walla Walla onions successfully in the UK? Walla Walla onions. Walla Walla. I've not tried them. So I tried loofah growing in southern UK 2020. Not much success. Sorry. See, just in a tray brought from Premier Seeds. Okay. So yeah, I'm hopefully getting my seeds in my chili seed soak this tonight, and we'll get them planted tomorrow evening. But we're at a wedding tomorrow, so Graham, you might be in a. So if you come when we're videoing, you might end up being in one of our videos. See, Shweta knows your name as well. I know your name too, Zaki. Hi, Mr. Famous Man. Everyone knows who you are. How? Everyone knows you. Oh my gosh. How do you all know my name? How do you all know my name? There you go. How do you all know my name? Everyone knows who you are. You're Mr. Famous.
I'm a favorite.
Now you're going all shy, but yeah. No, come tomorrow. Weekends are best because once see, Laura said we watched you from when you were very little. There you go. So we watch your dad's videos. They've seen you they've seen you grow up from a baby. You know that. So they've watched you grow from being an absolute baby.
Why?
Why? Because they like you. Because you're the star.
I wasn't the star in school. Catherine was.
You're the star in my eyes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Don't worry about what happens in school. You're a star with me. Yeah. Yeah.
I was a star though.
You're okay. So we've got Poacher. Good evening. Laura saying you always steal the limelight. See, we've got a video.
I don't steal the limelight.
We've got a video from when Zaki was just learning to walk, right? And it's.
Hey, I don't steal the limelight.
That mean, yeah, you're stealing the limelight right now.
Yeah.
That means you're the star of the show. That's what it means. That's a phrase to mean you turn out to be the star. Yeah, there's a video from quite early on how how to sow carrots in buckets, something like that.
Look,
And
he's calling me Ray.
Yeah, there's a clip right at the end. It's like a 10-second ending on the video, and on that video.
Somebody said I need my own video.
On that video, there's Zaki putting all these bits of wood and wood chips into a bucket, and then he tips the bucket onto his head, and then.
No, I don't.
And then after he's done it, he fills it up again and then does it again.
I
that was just after he'd learnt to walk. Yeah, that was. I'll show you the video. It's so cool. It was so cool. But yeah, Zaki needs his own channel. That's what Christy's saying.
Why?
Yeah, he's fine. Zaki grows. Yeah, Zaki grows. That's what you can watch Zaki grow, and you can watch Zaki grow. You can grow plants and you can grow yourself. That'll be a good channel. What do you think? So yeah, there's I mean
I want to see all of the messengers.
You want to see all the messengers?
Somebody said
Yeah.
somebody said said 100.
100% is what they're saying. Absolutely.
Why?
Because that means we should definitely do it. So what other chilies is everyone growing this year? Have you got some choices? Graham, you won't get in the way. Come over tomorrow. Tomorrow's probably going to be the best day to do it. Or tomorrow or Sunday, either one of those. Yeah. So yeah, lovely citrus taste, but not too hot. Rotane Azar, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you doing? I wanted to grow Nazgul breakfast. They're looking Nazgul breakfast. Let's have a look at Nazgul breakfast. What are these all about? I've never heard of Nazgul breakfast. Where are you getting your chili seeds from? So let's have. Okay. They look pretty good. I just had a little. I just had a little look at that, and that looks quite interesting. Scotch bonnet, little plants at the moment. Okay, Scotch bonnet. Scotch bonnet are a nice one. They're not too hot, so they're quite a steady one to have. Dandy Mum, I'm soaking seeds for bell peppers and cherry peppers right now. I like the sweet peppers. Oh, wicked. See, there's one called sweet banana that I really like. These guys love the sweet banana.
I don't.
Yeah, not you. You, the sister, she likes them the most. I have some shop bought Scotch bonnet chili. Walaikum assalam from Algeria. Hope you're keeping well.
Look what he said. He said I will come Sunday. He comes on
So,
Sunday.
sounds like Lord. See, Nazgul is Lord of the Rings, isn't it? They're the dragon things. The usual jalapeno, chocolate habanero, Apache, Hungarian hot wax for pickling, and Kozi Roche for the kebabs. Kozi Roche. Kozi Roche. Okay, not Kozi Roche. Okay, let me get that on and get some ideas for some. See, I'm taking ideas for chilies from you guys. Okay, I know which ones they are. Yeah. Mercy, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How are you doing? Thank you very much for coming in. You're gonna come on Sunday. You're not gonna get in the way of things. Yeah. We'll be glad to have you.
There's somebody named Mike.
Where Mike? Oh, there's Mike. Yeah. So a new one trying this winter called Christina and Onivek.
Let me see.
You're gonna read it. I can't read it. Yeah. Onivek. Okay. I'm gonna go purple heartthrob. Purple heartthrob tomato. They look great. Purple heartthrob tomato. See, it's a shame I can't share my screen with you. Purple.
You did half.
There you go. Purple heartthrob. I'll spell. Oh, they look quite nice. They do look quite nice. So you're gonna rack my seed bill up even more, you know. I'm overwintering my chili plants indoors. See, I'm overwintering. I've kept probably how many? So I've got three in the office. We've got a few chili plants that we're overwintering. But something strange happened this year was, you know, the seeds that I grew from the chili.
Why are they doing emojis?
Just 1 second. The seeds that I grew from the chilies that I grew from seed fruited, and they were almost ripe by the time my overwintered chilies started even flowering. So that's one of the really strange things that happened this year. It's not what's happened other years, but this year was just really weird with them.
Papa.
Yes, buddy.
Why are they doing emojis?
They just do emojis for different reasons. So I've overwintered a few chili plants, and they're doing fine. Also, should have some early harvest.
They were doing it for me.
Yeah, they are. Growing so Icky's growing watermelon and chili in the greenhouse. Keep the tomatoes out. See, Icky, whereabouts are you? Because I grow almost all my tomatoes are grown outside, and I'm in Yorkshire. I do grow some in the greenhouse, but they're normally a variety that if I'm trying to grow some giant tomatoes, then okay, just 1 second. If I'm trying to grow some giant tomatoes, then I'll grow them in the greenhouse. Or if I'm trying to grow some tomatoes for late on harvesting, sort of November, December sort of harvesting, then they'll go in the greenhouse. But other than that, most of my tomatoes are outside. I've never grown chilies. Alan, see, you know, even if you don't like hot food, right? Growing chilies, it gets addictive. It's one of those things that there's always a really cool one you want to try, and they just get addictive to try and grow. So your 3-year-old Scotch bonnet died. Well done. So died its death this year. See, that's the thing about chilies; they're short-lived perennials. So 3 to 5 years is sort of what they'd survive it, even in a tropical climate. So yeah, I think you did well with that. Aubergines, only one survived. See, I've got a couple of aubergines that I'm overwintering. We've got them in the house on the windowsill, so I'm gonna have to be fighting with them for space for my new seedlings and for my propagating mats. So I'm trying to overwinter aubergine and peppers. So Icky, you're in Albury, West Midlands. Do you know Walsall? See, I'm down in Walsall a fair bit. I've got family in Walsall.
Huh?
So chili seeds inside now. Is that what we can do? I missed that bit. Eileen, yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna get my chili seeds in this weekend. I normally sow them a couple of weeks ago, beginning of sort of December.
Papa, somebody
But this
said
year I've just been
your fault was
everything.
your actions.
Everything. I'm always late.
It said
So
his
I
fault
might
was
try the chilies.
your fault was
Chili
your
Trump recommends.
actions. Somebody
Which
said
one?
your fault is your actions.
So
That
why is this your last
one.
live stream of 2022? 2022 because it's the last day of 22 tomorrow. So
Papa,
the next live stream is going to be 2023.
Papa,
That's why.
Grams.
So trust me, guys, I've turned into a chili freak now, down to nothing. His fault is. Oh, that's why he said.
Papa,
My fault is that, Charles. Yeah, I
Papa,
get you.
somebody
I'm with
said
you. Yeah,
it's your fault with your actions.
that's why he's growing so many chilies. Yeah. So chilies get addictive. They really do. I start chilies and peppers.
Look for
I try to start chilies and peppers in February, tomatoes in March.
Papa, look
Due to
what
lack of heat
Papa,
and indoor
look
space, it
what
still works.
someone
See,
said.
I start my
Somebody
tomatoes.
said, is that me?
I start my tomatoes in
Papa,
February. See, the thing is,
Papa,
if you're further south, you're gonna have a longer season and warmer season generally. But for us, I used to when I first started gardening, I used to start sowing my chilies in sort of February, March time. And just as my plant would be full of flowers and I'd get loads of chilies, then the frost would come
Papa,
and they'd
Papa,
die. Yes, buddy.
somebody said, is that Zaki?
It is Zaki. Hamza said that.
Hi.
So because everyone knows who you are. Everyone knows who you are. So
I know, I'm very good at reading.
I think 2023 should be the. See, we'll do the MFG Chili Challenge again next year. So
Papa, somebody, look.
Every year we do a competition.
Did you online chili fest?
Yeah. So every year we do a competition. So who can grow the heaviest chili, the longest chili, the smallest ripe chili, and what's the other one?
Chili.
Yeah, smallest ripe chili, the longest, heaviest, and the fattest in terms of girth. So yeah, so that's the one that so we do that competition every year, and maybe next year we'll give out some prizes.
Famous.
So Hamza's saying famous.
I'm not famous.
Hamza, try growing them now. Follow my chili video and yeah. So Christine, we do that competition every. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, Graham, can you grab the link of our Facebook group and drop it in?
No.
And that's probably the easiest way to share pictures and all that sort of thing. So what flowers are you guys sowing in January? So I still haven't got my sweet peas in. What else? We always sow some foxgloves. We always sow.
Papa,
My wife normally handles.
rain coming.
My wife normally handles.
Rain
the
coming.
flowers. Yeah, not right now though.
Rain coming.
Okay. So let me see if I can grab that. What do you call it? Facebook link.
Are you done?
Yeah, there we go. So if anyone wants to join our Facebook group, there's the link of the Facebook group.
Graham said I'm on phone. He's on phone.
So what other flowers? My wife normally sows them. So when we sow sunflowers sort of March time.
Somebody said, have you ever grown bamboo?
So how do you enter the chili competition?
Why is anybody talking to me?
So normally what we do is I put a few posts up on the Facebook group to say that it started and remind people. I even put them on my timeline, so you can do them in a few ways. If you're on Facebook, join our group, and that's probably the easiest way to do it, and makes life a lot easier for me as well. Otherwise, you're gonna have to email me the pictures and that sort of thing privately. But I'll put out, I'll put once we come to judging and that sort of thing, I'll put out loads of messages and announce it on the live stream again. Have you ever grown bamboo? I've got a couple of bamboo plants. So I've got a black bamboo plant that produces some really nice canes at the bottom of the garden, and that's a clumping variety. And I've got a yellow bamboo that I've got in a couple of pots, and that's a running variety. I had it in the ground to start off with. It was doing fantastic. And then as soon as I moved it into the pot, because it's not getting that space, they're just not doing so well. When it was in the ground, it produced massive 8 foot, 10 foot canes. So I got a couple of really nice canes, but because of the fact that it was a runner, I dug that up. I've got a clumping one that's a really slow grower, and that's in the ground at the bottom of the garden, and that's good. There's some nice canes that I should be able to harvest off that. I grow chilies but can't get any big ones. Are they usually like 1 centimeter size? Chala Morris is even harder. Grew jalapenos 2 years ago. So 1 centimeter size. They should get a lot bigger. Most chilies should get a lot bigger than that. If you're growing things like Chala Morris, then they should get to at least 1 inch. Yeah. So I started growing peppers as a kid because they were such pretty plants. In fact,
I didn't call him.
See what you're saying? They are pretty plants. Like I grow some spaghetti chilies every year, and I think the biggest one this year was 17 inch. Yeah, so absolutely amazing monster chilies this year. And that's my record at the minute. 17 inch is not a bad chili plant at all. Not a bad chili. We're watching you, Zaki, and listening to it. Yeah, so he's the entertainment. No, don't do that because you got me banned. You got my live stream shut down once because you were yeah. Someone because Zaki was jumping about. Someone reported me and got my live stream shut down. No, can you put that back? Little monkey. So I think I have loads of bamboo seeds, black ones as well. I'll dig them up and bring them on. So, okay. See, bamboo's really nice. If you come over, we'll pull out some runners and I'll give you some roots and you can just plant them. Because they're quite hard to bamboo's quite hard to propagate from seed. The best way to do it is to grow it from a runner. That's where I grew mine from. So I went to one of the local parks. I've got a really nice bamboo garden, and so I'll say good night. Laura, all right, you take care. Thanks very much for coming in and joining us, and I'll see you in 2023. Yeah, so what I was saying is one of our local parks has got a really nice bamboo garden. And what I did,
look at this.
yeah, I saw that. And what I did there was, when they were cleaning out the bamboo garden, because they always have overgrowth, and
the gentleman?
Gardeners go in and clear stuff up. So one day we went as just a day trip, and we found the gardeners doing that sort of thing. So I just asked them for a root and just help myself to a little root piece that big, and I've got massive bamboos in the garden now. Get your finger out your nose, man. Don't grow bamboo, they're destructive. See, depends, right? It all depends. It it depends on how you're growing it, where you're growing it, and if you've got the space to grow it. Now, if you're growing it next to a foundation, if you're growing it next to a wall, if you're growing a running type, yeah, if you're growing it next to a foundation, yes, it's going to break, just like any tree will break your foundations or break the wall or break your concrete or something like that. If you've got running types, some are a lot more vigorous than others. So if you've got a really, really vigorous runner, then that's going to spread really quickly. If you've got a slow growing runner, again, that's going to spread slowly, but it will spread. If you've got the clumping variety, then they're more likely to stay in one place. But if they get the right conditions, they will run, or if they're stressed, they will run. So the thing to do with the clumping variety is to reduce the size of the clump every year or every couple of years. Just go in. So I've got a clump that I started off with when I started off with a root, planted it in a pot, and it got to about that sort of size clump, maybe 6 inches across. And then now it's about 2 foot across. The clump is about 2 foot across. So next year, what I'll do is I'll trim off anything beyond 2 foot and make sure that it's got like a nice square shape of 2 foot of bamboo where I want it to stay. Anything beyond that, I'm going to remove. So yeah, so as long as you're controlling it, the clumping, it's not, it's not a destructive plant. But again, it all depends on space.
I don't like you guys.
Why? What's the matter? So I've got bamboo running through a bed from a previous owner every year. Dig it up. See, that's the problem. Every year, dig it up and try to pot it, but it never takes. See, you know, when bamboo comes up, you know, like it comes out the ground, right? And that little fresh bit, that little pointy bit, if you get that bit attached to the root, leave the bit that points out the ground up and the root in the pot. That's what I normally do, and that normally takes quite easy. So don't, yeah. Zaki, you're okay, buddy. Come on.
No.
About 24 miles away, 7 mile out of Goole in the countryside. Why are you hiding behind me? Hey? Oh, have you got my phone? Yeah, that's why you're hiding behind me and being so quiet. So Khadija's come in and picked up my phone and started playing games.
I haven't got anything.
You haven't got anything, no. Okay. So and the thing, one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to try and get myself self-sufficient in canes. So we use a lot of to grow our plants is we use a lot of canes that come off our buddleia. We've got the bamboos. We use a lot of canes that I grow straight from privet hedge. They grow some really beautiful straight canes, and they're really strong. They're really thick, dense wood, and they'll last 4 or 5 years. Untreated, that you can just stab straight into the ground and use as your canes, and then after a few years, once they've broken down enough, just use them as mulch or composting materials. But that's the reason that I wanted to grow bamboo, or because one of the aims that we've got in our garden is to try and replicate a lot of that self-sufficiency that happens in a Bangladeshi village, for example. Try and replicate that village life, and basically just recycle everything, just make sure everything that we're growing has a functional purpose. There's a plant that I should have planted years and years ago, and I still haven't done it, and this is one of the mistakes that I keep making, is plant hazel. And that'd be sort of the adaptability of taking that same principle and using a plant that's native to here, and that will grow well here. But luckily, I think there's a hazel that's seeded in the hedge, so I'm gonna try and hijack that hazel. Let's see what I can do. If I can get that hazel out of the hedge, then I'm gonna plant it somewhere nice. When about are you starting your gourd seeds? So gourds I won't start till March, early March probably. Yeah, early March. Um, um, so is anyone growing anything interesting? Something that what's the one thing that you've never grown before that you're gonna grow again? That you're gonna grow this year? Um, do you know, Ali? As soon as you mentioned mulberry, right? That's got straight into my head that that's another plant that I'm meant to. Do you know, the first year I planted loads of berries. Mulberry was one of the ones that I never got to plant. Mulberry um, um, was one that I wanted to plant and I never did it because we planted blueberries, we planted tayberries, we planted loganberries, we planted loads and loads of different types of berries, joster berries, all sorts of things, and we ended up pulling loads of plants out and throwing them away because we didn't like them. Yeah, and so every year they were good for the birds, but they weren't good for us. So mulberry is one that I wanted to grow. We've got a goji berry that I keep threatening every year. Um, it's probably 12 years old. It's never produced anything. I keep threatening it every year, saying that I'm gonna dig it out if it doesn't produce something. And yeah, um, so isn't mulberry a very narrow blackberry? It's not. It's not a blackberry type. It's more. What's it more like? It it does resemble a blackberry in the foot in the sense that it's got lots of little. It's got a few little fruits on it. But what family is the mulberry from? Um, Leave him. Um, I'm trying velvet beans this year. I'll get you a cutting from a 400-year-old mulberry row. Uh, oh, that'll be wicked. Um, so Scarlet Emperor. So you're growing runner beans for the first time. Runner beans is like one of the staples for most allotments, but that's fantastic. You're growing them. Um, there's one variety called Lady Di, uh, and it's the runner beans but without the strings. So Lady Di, if you can get hold of those seeds, that's a really nice one. Scarlet Empress, pretty. John, the seeds are really pretty. They're sort of like a purple or pinky, uh, veined color almost. They're really pretty. Black Knight's a really good producer. Black Knight's one that we grow a lot. Um, so Rizwan's Amiri's growing courgettes for the first time, hyacinth beans and Karela. See, hyacinth beans, if you've got somewhere warm and start them early, so if you start them sort of February time and keep them in your house for a good while, and what we do with our hyacinth beans is when they get to about a foot and a half sort of length, we pinch out the top, and then that encourages them to spread out side shoots, but it also gives you space to keep them in your house. It keeps them small enough and manageable in a manageable enough size to keep them in your house until it's warm enough, because you're not going to be able to put them out in the greenhouse until May, until the frosts have well and truly passed. Mulberry leaves is what the silkworms eat to make silk. I think you should move Zaki if he gets. He'll be fine. He's fine. The thing is, you're. This is one of the things I remind people every now and then is this is my family garden. It's the family element that a lot of people get attracted to. Some people don't like the fact that the kids are in or they're making a mess or they're causing a bit of a riot. But yeah, it's their space. I don't have a dedicated studio. I'm not that fancy, so it's their space as much as mine. Bobbington leeks. The Bobbington leeks. I've not heard of Bobbington leeks. My local Wilco got them. Need to buy. See, do you know what? I saw loads. Just sit down a second. I saw loads of people posting on our Facebook group that they've gone out and bought loads of compost for really cheap. Places like Homebase and Wix that are selling them off for cheap. So last weekend I spent a full day going to Homebase, to Wix, to B&Q, and not a single thing on sale. And the only thing that they had in stock was some really rubbish composter. And I was like, yeah, I'm not paying £8 for a bag of half finished compost, no chance. So yeah. See, Rizwan, I covered this quite early on in this today's live stream actually. So the main thing would be to build up a balanced ecosystem. Nematodes are fantastic for slugs, but you need to constantly keep building the supply. Supply of nematodes in your garden. Yes, buddy.
I don't like this one.
Okay, you don't like Hamza. Okay, that's because he's been saying some cheeky things, hasn't he? But it's okay. Don't worry about it.
I don't like him.
It's all right. Don't worry about it. I'm not having a fight between two kids. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. Just be nice to each other. It's okay. So where have we gone? Yeah. So, but some of the pellets that you can get now is you can get wool pellets and you can get iron pellets. Wool pellets are pretty good. I don't mind using wool pellets or iron pellets. They're generally not toxic, but what they do is the wool causes it around or the surface for the slugs to not be comfortable for them to crawl across. And the iron pellets cause an iron overdose in the slug, and then they die from that. So, but they're not toxic to other things, which is one of the good things. Cucamelons, that'll be interesting. I know a lot of people who have grown cucamelons. And some like them and some don't like them. My lovely lady Katrina is watching for a chat. Yes, buddy.
What is cucumber?
I can't find any cheap compost either. See, Lidl, do you know when Lidl compost comes in? Lidl compost has never, has been really consistently decent for the last couple of years. It doesn't look very nutritiously rich, but the material looks quite good.
Name.
It's okay.
I have a V and a K and a Y.
It's a perennial leek.
No,
okay.
VAKY.
I'm planting daikon radishes here to break up the clay. I've been told they're easy to grow and make some tasty greens. Never tried before, but I've heard they're pretty easy. Radishes are really easy. The thing about daikon radishes is first year in heavy clay soil they won't grow to their potential because of the clay, but because you're growing them to break the clay soil up, that's not a problem. Each year, keep doing it. Do it for a couple of years. He's not going to be. Nice. He's going to be nice. Yeah, he's being nice. Okay. Yeah, he's being nice now. Look what he said. Yeah, he said he's not a kid. He's 13. Okay. All right.
I didn't call you a kid.
MashaAllah.
But I didn't call you a kid though.
Okay. But with your daikon radishes, yeah, they are really like all radishes. They germinate really easy. The seeds are really a good size to handle, but over time, as the soil loosens up, then they'll grow to their full potential. We in the ground outside, we struggle to get them past maybe a foot long. Maybe just over a foot long, that sort of length. So check Wilco, and a lot of compost is quite pricey up here in London. See, that's the problem that I saw, like B&Q and all that sort of thing. They had compost, but it was quite pricey, like £8-9 a bag, and 50 litre bag. I'm not willing to pay £8-9 for 50 litre bag. My compost at home is much better than the quality of the stuff that they've got. Yeah. I got 2 Wormeries makes brilliant worm tea. They were great for the chilies.
I spent too much. I spent too much.
I had pieces of glass and plastic last year in little compost. Never touched that since.
Papa. Papa.
Yes, buddy.
I'm dizzy because I spend a lot.
I'm not surprised. I'd be dizzy. I'm getting dizzy just watching you. Until a few years back, the council used to do the free compost. Not anymore. I think they're catching up on the fact that they can sell it, and yeah, I mean, Leeds has never done free compost. What Leeds does with their green waste is they sell it to this massive company, and under the guise of being, cheaper, they're selling the council's green waste that we're paying for to get rid of in the first place. They're selling that back to us at full markup. Yeah, under the guise of being the council's sponsored thing, and they're getting, it's a private company getting loads of government subsidies, but they're making them private, and they're just pocketing that. There's a lot of corruption that goes on with these things, a real intense amount of corruption. It's quite saddening. What they like, very water. They're not like watermelon. They taste like a sweetish, wet cucumber.
What is it?
A cucumber.
But
they're not. They're not really. They don't really taste like watermelons.
What's a cucumber?
A cucumber. Do you want to grow some?
Yeah, what are cucumbers are? Look at this.
So I'm experimenting with perennial veg. The kales are so good.
Look at this side.
See, I had a couple of cuttings of Taunton Dean kale a few years ago. I don't know. I think I killed them. See, when I built my bean arch, we had some really bad wind, and it snapped my bean arch, and it broke my 2 Taunton Dean kale plants when the arches fell on them. Because Nathan sent me some Taunton Dean kale. What's the cabbage? So I've got some tree collards, some tree cabbage seeds that I want to be planting this year. So that's a nice perennial that I want to be growing first time. The kids are perfect, refreshing to see a family of gardeners. See, that's what I say. It's got to be about making it a natural environment. One of the things that I keep talking about is making that ecosystem, and it's making that ecosystem where everyone can enjoy it, and we forget that we're part of that ecosystem. And that's one of the, like a lot of when environmentalists talk about ecosystems and natural, they forget us being part of that, and they forget how to accommodate us into it. Best compost is homemade, absolutely is.
It's gone. It's gone. Okay, no.
Rahad Mia, I'm trying to grow garlic and coriander at the moment. So garlic is, grow that in the ground perfectly fine. Coriander, you're going to be in the house for that. How are you growing it in the house? Sorry, how are you sprouting it? So, has anyone tried a free coffee ground, something like Starbucks or Costa's? I know a fair few people that do. I haven't personally. Yeah. And it's no. If I could get it, I'd use it. But I just can't. But it just means another trip that I have to find this time for. So Aztec kale for me. All right. I think I'm going to be spoiled this weekend then, isn't it? Do you use hay or wood shavings for your chicken cages? I've used both, and wood shaves are far more better in all aspects. So wood shavings are fantastic, but they're expensive. I use straw rather than hay. Hay can go moldy and release, can harbor a lot of dust. So hay is not the best. Straw's quite good. I like it, especially for winter. It does mat down quite a bit. If the chickens are pooing on top of it, it can mat down. So what you're going to have to do is, what I normally do is I'll add a little bit of hay, straw, sorry, and then a few days later add a little bit more. But it just keeps the coop a little bit warmer and a little bit nicer environment. But yeah, wood shavings, I much prefer them, but they're just a bit more expensive. But at the moment, I'm using a lot of wood shavings that I'm making myself because I've got a chainsaw and I'm cutting the logs. So a lot of the wood shavings that comes from there, that's what I'm using. You little monkey, stop it. Shweta, you take care, and we'll see you in 2023. Stop that. If you lay coffee grounds on surface, creates crust, weed, veg suppression, mix them with a bulk shredded leaves for okay. So that just sounds like a really good on ground compost in situ. Yeah, I like that. So Shweta say night night to you as well. There you go. Say night night to Zaki. So I use a wet cloth method. Do you crush the coriander seeds before? I don't. Some people do. I've never found the need. As long as you soak them enough and the crust has, the water's got into the soil, into the seed enough.
It's a Daky.
Yeah, it is fine. Is it? Because I spell it like that as well.
You don't know my name then.
I should know your name. I named you. You need about 6 compost bins, 2 wormeries, and then you're ready to grow anything. See, I've got a massive wormery that holds about just under a cubic meter of material. So it's made out of a big IBC. It's made out of an IBC tote. And then I've got a couple of pallet bins, but I do a lot of my composting on the ground.
Papa, look, this soil is really rich and black.
Yeah, really nice.
Rich.
We're lucky that we still get free compost in Cambridgeshire. It was incredible in my garden last year. Oh, free compost is fantastic. I think everyone's impressed by that. See, our council's turned into quite a corrupt little enterprise.
Why did Christy do 100%?
It will, at this time of year, it will slow down. Have you got it covered? Give it a turn, add some grass, and yeah, let it go again. But guys, we've passed that 9 o'clock mark, so I'm gonna call it a night for here. Get this guy to bed, and I'll see you in 2023. Yeah, so that's the last live stream of 2022. We're looking forward to a cracking season. There'll be one more video coming out. Oh well, it's not going to be this year. That's the last from us, I think, this year. So there we go. I'll see you next year. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Do you want to press end stream? Oh, what are we doing with it? There you go. Do you want to press end stream? There you go. Good boy.